The final day of the trial has arrived. It's do or die today.
Please tell me you've made sense of all this, Mr. Wright. I could really use some reassurance right about now.
Of course. For what it's worth, the new evidence we've collected has certainly undermined the prosecution's theory of you murdering Harvey. And if we're really lucky, the handwriting analysis results will exonerate you straight off the bat.
It's going to be okay, Mike. Nick has done this 1,000 times before. But if Franziska manages to turn this into a fierce courtroom duel regardless, well, just sit back and enjoy the show.
I think I'd prefer the more anticlimactic version, thank you very much. Still, I appreciate the reassurance. I feel like I can trust you with my fate, Mr. Wright. I also trust you to keep your promise about Charlie.
And that's what I aim to do. If at all possible, I'll keep your brother's involvement between the three of us.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. It's really all I needed to hear.
There's our soldier and his squad mates.
Good morning, Mike, Mr. Wright, and Miss Fay.
Hey there, Miss Victoria and Mr. Tennant.
Ma'am, sir, what can I do for you?
Hey, Mike. Always ready for duty, aren't you?
That he is. But to answer your question, November, we're actually here to help you out. See, the lieutenant and I thought you could use some AN-styled inspiration before the trial.
Good to see you both being so supportive. But where's Dr. Siegfried?
From what I've heard, Lady Von Karma has decided to play it safe, and has prepared Jason as a professional witness, in case any more issues about Harvey's health history arise. Nevertheless, he too wishes Mike well.
Yeah. Bones sends his regards and all that, but time's a-wasted. Now for some pre-court training. Alright, everyone, let me see your court face!
What?
Court? Face?
The courtroom is a battlefield as much as any other, so surely the ability to intimidate your opponent and break their resolve will come in handy. Like this! Ah! That's the court face!
More like a crazy person face, which Franziska would probably enjoy using for target practice.
Ahem. If you're quite done with that training exercise, Tenant. Mike, I'd just like to inform you that I've received word from the rest of the engineering company at the field training camp. I hear most everyone is supportive of you, and from what I've heard, they're planning on throwing you a party to celebrate your exoneration after they wrap up the camp.
Oh, gee, I don't know what to say.
Now that's all well and good, but you still need to be found not guilty first. Hence the question remains, is Little Boy Blue here a bad enough dude to save November?
Little Boy Blue?
Enough, Tenant. Surely Mr. Wright has what it takes. Why don't you have a small chat with Mike while I discuss something with Mr. Wright and Miss Fay?
Got it, Lieutenant. Now let's hone that court face of yours, November!
Sir, yes, sir.
There. Hopefully that will keep them both busy for a while. I don't actually have a lot to say. I just want to let you know that I haven't come clean to Jason about Harvey and the Helios 6 incident. Of course, I can't ask you not to bring up the incident, but just keep that in mind, alright?
Understood. We'll be most discreet about it.
But you will tell him eventually, won't you, Miss Victoria?
Yes. Once the opportunity presents itself, the truth shall be revealed for all to see.
Attention, please! The trial will begin momentarily. If everyone would please head to the courtroom at once so we can lock the doors and get started.
That's our cue. Good luck with the trial, Mr. Wright. We're all counting on you.
All right, Nick. Let's get Mike off the hook, and then we can celebrate his verdict with that trip to Gatewaterland!
Yes, it's time to finish this once and for all. The following hours will be crucial in deciding the fate of Mike November. But proving his innocence won't necessarily be easy. Franziska is a vicious opponent to engage on the field of battle. Nevertheless, with the evidence and information we've gathered, we're finally ready to face her head-on. Two competing interpretations of what transpired that day are to be locked in mortal combat, and ultimately, only one can reign supreme. And we can only work towards making sure that it's the truth.
court is now back in session for the trial of Mike November. As we know, this is the final day of the trial, therefore a verdict must be reached today. Until then, the courtroom's doors will remain locked. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, are the prosecution and defense ready?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Let's resume where we left off. Yesterday, two vastly different suicide notes, both allegedly written by the victim, were brought to the court's attention. Miss Von Karma, what were the results of the handwriting analysis performed on them?
After a thorough examination, it was concluded that the note found in the lockbox is definitely a forgery, Your Honor.
A forgery? Oh my. And it was the nicer one of the two. What about the other one?
I'm afraid the results for that one were inconclusive.
Well then, would you care to elaborate on that, Miss Von Karma?
There are elements that strongly suggest it was written by the victim, but there were also several deviations from his regular penmanship. The analysis result falls on the gray area between genuine and fake.
I'll say, yesterday you were quite certain that it was written by the victim.
And I still am, Your Honor. I'll bet the results were inconclusive. The note most certainly wasn't written by the same person who made the forgery. The analysis would have detected that.
You're saying that it's possible to detect if two handwritten forgeries have been made by the same person?
It is complicated, but possible, Your Honor. If by chance two forgeries were attempting to imitate the same person's handwriting, we can scan them for shared deviations in the penmanship to determine if the forgeries are by the same person. But considering how foolish it would be of the murderer to leave a second note that would conflict so grossly with the first one, and thus wholly defeat the purpose of leaving any in the first place, we can deduce that the second note was, in fact, written by the victim. However, the key finding here is that someone created a forged suicide note in the victim's name and hid it in his office on the day of the murder. In a blast-proof box, I might add. The only logical reason for doing so is to try and disguise a murder as a suicide.
Hold on! What about the inconclusive note?
The inconclusive note is absolutely worthless because of the existence of the forged one. Since the defense seems dumbfounded as to why, I shall explain it in simple terms so even he will understand. First, the forged note was found in a blast-proof container. Whoever wrote it went the extra mile to ensure that it could survive an explosion and be found intact. Secondly, we know that the note was definitely not written by the victim. The implication is that the person who forged the note knew that there was going to be an explosion in the iron chamber with Captain Harvey as its sole victim. They wanted the forged note to be found and mislead the investigation. Frankly, I posit the second note has nothing to do with the bombing. The existence of this forgery is a clear sign of foul play. Anyone who tries to prove Harvey's death was merely a suicide is thus doing exactly what the murderer wants.
Well, this is quite an interesting turn of events. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Wright?
Well, there goes the easy way out.
Nick, what are we going to do now?
Obviously, we prepare a rebuttal. Let Franziska claim what she wants, because we'll be prepared to shoot down her arguments one by one.
We finally return to the facts that the defense has tried to distract the court from all this time. The only person with established means, motive, and opportunity for this crime is Private Mike November. The only detail that needs to be added to my theory is that he has also forged a suicide note in Captain Harvey's name in a foolish attempt to hide his crime.
Hold it! What about the box itself? You claim Mr. November planted it, but in that case it should also have his fingerprints.
You just had to go there. Of course the police performed an extensive forensic analysis on the box as soon as they could, but thanks to a certain Scruffy's detective's over-eager handling of it, only his prints could be lifted. As for the contents of the box, the only remarkable item was the forged note, unless you're interested in some more plaster dust. Thus everything wraps up nice, simple, and perfect. Mike November is guilty.
I see. does the defense have to say regarding this matter, Mr. Wright?
Plenty. As far as I can tell, the prosecution has yet to provide tangible evidence that it was in fact Mr. November who forged the note.
Perhaps, but when we take into account the current circumstances, Mike November is the only viable option. Unless you had someone else in mind.
Mr. Wright, if I were you, I would think my next words through very carefully. The past 2 days have not exactly done a lot to improve your infamous reputation as the biggest bluffer this courtroom has ever seen. And frankly, I don't have the patience for any more baseless theories that drag on and ultimately go nowhere. If you are going to claim Mr. November did not forge this letter, I also expect you to prove to the court who did.
And I'd just like to remind you that Captain Harvey has already been ruled out, so you can forget your precious suicide angle.
Very well. All right. The gauntlet has been thrown. Time to counter Francisca's claim. There has to be some sort of explanation for the existence of this note. Mike clearly didn't forge the note, but it does beg the question, who did?
My confession. Earthly courts cannot grant the absolute apologize to my victims.
The Helio 6 incident is the key. Mike lost his brother because of it, and the 3 survivors were awarded with the Dove of Fidelity. Now only 2 people remain who know what transpired that day. Lieutenant Irene Victoria and Dr. Jason Siegfried. And there's only one person who could have brought the note to the Iron Chamber on Absolution Day. Dr. Siegfried.
Excuse me, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor, the defense would like to cross-examine Dr. Jason Siegfried.
The doctor? Do you honestly think this will change anything?
We'll find out soon, won't we? Your Honor, I repeat my request. The defense would like to call Dr. Jason Siegfried to the stand.
That is a very bold move to make in your situation, Mr. Wright. Personally, I cannot see how cross-examining the witness again would be relevant.
Agreed. It would be a mere waste of time. I suggest we proceed to the verdict.
Hold it! I'll do it.
What? What are you doing?
I believe I was quite clear in what I said, Miss Von Karma. I wish to testify.
You sure about this decision, Dr. Siegfried?
I believe in fairness above all, Your Honor. If Mr. Wright's request is to cross-examine me, then I say let him.
This is a colossal waste of time.
Are you in a hurry, Miss Von Karma? There is still plenty of time scheduled for the court proceedings, as far as I know. In my line of work, we like to think that the time spent properly examining a patient is never wasted. Sloppy examination, on the other hand, can lead to a grave misdiagnosis. You seem very convinced that this cross-examination won't change a thing, so why not just sit back and relax while Mr. Wright questions me one final time?
Very well. Let the stubborn fools go for it, for all I care. The evidence speaks for itself.
So here I am, Mr. Wright. What did you want to ask me?
Dr. Siegfried, we both know who forged this note, don't we?
So, you think you figured it all out then? Marvelous. Why don't you go ahead and tell the court? I'm sure they're anxious to hear.
I can't yet. There's some things I need to clear up with you first.
I see. Better safe than sorry. I do not wish to be an arduous witness, nor do I doubt that you wish to save Mike. But I would also like to make sure that you fully understood what happened on that day and why, before you go ahead with any big reveals. Sounds fair, doesn't it?
Mr. Wright, I am not sure what you and the witness are talking about, but if you would please get to the point.
Guess we ought to get to it then. Mr. Wright, I'm going to present you with my testimony. Let's see if you can figure out the rest. As you may recall, I was Harvey's first visitor on Absolution Day. However, me seeing Harvey merely proves that I had a window of opportunity to leave the forged note in the Iron Chamber. This court has yet to establish the proper means and motive for me to do so. But since you claim that I know something about this note or the person who forged it, I'd like to see some evidence in that regard. There. That should give you plenty to go on.
Much obliged, Dr. Siegfried. I promise I won't let Mike down.
Good. Let's hope you can stay true to your word.
I've got to hand it to the doctor. He's taking this surprisingly well.
He is, considering the grave implications.
Mr. Wright, please proceed to the cross-examination.
As you may recall, I was Harvey's first visitor on Absolution Day.
Hold it! Any particular reason you wanted to be the first to see Harvey?
It was a simple matter of convenience. I wanted to drop off Harvey's new medication and get the meeting over with as soon as I could, so I could focus on my work at the hospital afterwards. Of course, with Harvey's sudden death, the fact that I met with him did end up making me a potential suspect. However, me seeing Harvey merely proves that I had a window of opportunity to leave the forged note in the iron chamber.
Hold it! Not to mention that this gave you an opportunity to plant an explosive in Harvey's office.
An opportunity, certainly. But if we're going by that logic, Tennant and November are just as likely to have done so.
I'd say the contents of the forged note rules them both out. And they had no reason for leaving such an apologetic note, especially if their presumed motive was revenge.
Ah, so the motive angle comes to play. I see. Speaking of that, this court has yet to establish the proper means and motive for me to do so. But since you claim that I know something about this note or the person who forged it, I'd like to see some evidence in that regard.
Objection! Dr. Siegfried, when visiting your office, one cannot help noticing all the plaster sculptures you've crafted. You're quite the talented artisan.
Thank you for the compliment, but we're not exactly here to exchange pleasantries. Why do you bring this up?
We've established that the bust of Harvey was brought to the scene of the crime on Absolution Day, and since Staff Sergeant Tennant claims to have seen it, there are only two people who could have brought it there, you or Captain Harvey. Yesterday, I was under the impression it must have been Harvey, but that has since changed. There's no way Harvey was the one who made the bust.
Most likely not. Sculpting is something you have to practice a lot to get good at. Still, he might have commissioned a sculptor to immortalize his likeness as if he were some sort of Roman god.
In that case, why would he commission it out of a material he didn't particularly like? Or more importantly, was downright harmful to him? According to his medical records, Captain Harvey had a severe plaster allergy.
Indeed, your logic is sound. Very well. I was indeed the one who crafted the plaster bust of Harvey. A little departing gift I wanted to give to him. But the worst thing he could get from it was a bad itch. However, so far this has all been beside the point. How does this prove I know something about the forged note or its maker?
It becomes pretty apparent once we take a look at this other piece of evidence. Take that!
Oh, that's the box the forged note was found in, correct?
The very same. And not too long ago, we learned a rather interesting detail about it. Plaster dust was also found inside. This creates a clear link between you, the bust, and the forged suicide note, Dr. Siegfried.
Now, let's not be hasty. I know from personal experience that plaster dust has the annoying quality of getting absolutely everywhere. If the box was recovered from the scene, it'd be more of a miracle if there wasn't any dust inside.
Even if the box was blast-proof and completely airtight?
Well, it is always possible that the dust got in the box when it was opened at the scene.
But it wasn't. You should remember that the locked box was only opened yesterday in this very courtroom by Detective Gumshoe, which means the plaster dust has been sealed inside along with the forged note all this time by you!
So, it has come to this then. It is actually refreshing that we can finally talk about this without all the pretense of mystery limiting the freedom of our expression. Very well, Mr. Wright. You've convinced me. So here's what you want to hear. I forged Captain Harvey's final words.
You what?
Of course, by confessing to have done so, the implications should remain unclear to no one. It definitely raises a lot of questions. I believe now would be a perfect time to ask them.
Why? Why would you do it, Dr. Siegfried?
I didn't want to, but Harvey would have never confessed to have caused the Helio 6 incident, so I forced his hand.
You don't know that. In the end, he might have...
Allow me to stop you right there, Mr. Wright. You do not know Harvey as well as I did. During the past 4 years, he had every opportunity to end this just by saying a few words, but he chose not to. Even on Absolution Day, I gave him a fair chance to come clean.
Is that all?
Are we finally done here?
Almost. There's one more thing I'm here for. Absolution.
Absolution. Is that truly what you've come for?
You know exactly what I've come for, sir. I haven't forgotten. About what happened in Aresia. None of us have.
I thought we agreed to never talk about it again.
We won't. This is the last chance to save yourself. The choice is yours. You can cast aside the shameful offer you've been given by the AN and take actual responsibility for your crime. Or you can take that offer and try to run from the truth until your lies inevitably become your downfall.
You want the truth, Siegfried? Then let me tell you one last time. I have done no wrong. And that is exactly what I will tell the AN brass, and I know exactly who will take the fall. I have every intention of taking advantage of the opportunity to leave and forget I ever knew any of you. You're dismissed. Get out of my sight.
So, that is how you choose to end this.
We both know there's nothing you can do. Now leave, soldier.
In that case, farewell, Harvey. Your judgment will come. Sooner or later. But, in the end, you can see which path he chose. Think of the letter as an act of mercy. My attempt to bring peace to the families who have suffered for 4 years because of him. They deserve to hear the truth, even if it was via a comforting lie.
Wait! 4 years? And the list of names? Is this what the notes from the crime scene are referring to?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense looked into it yesterday, and here's what we've learned. 4 years ago, Allied nations began a peace mission in the Republic of Aresia, a nation which was recovering from a bloody civil war. During this operation, experimental equipment was also to be field tested. Among them, a powerful experimental plastic explosive compound, codenamed Helio-6. This compound was designed with user safety in mind and was supplied to several engineer units. Among them, the 1st Special Engineering Company, commanded by Captain Janice Harvey. However, for reasons that elude us to this day, a mass detonation of Helio-6 occurred in the company's explosive depot, resulting in the death of the entire company, save for 3 members, Captain Janice Harvey, Lieutenant Irene Victoria, and Dr. Jason Siegfried. This disaster later became known as the Helio-6 incident. Lieutenant Victoria was severely wounded in the blast. Without Dr. Siegfried's emergency surgery, she too would have been a casualty. She owes the doctor her life. The Allied nations suspected sabotage and launched an internal investigation. An innocent peacekeeper, Charlie November, would have been indicted for the incident hadn't Dr. Siegfried's testimony caused Captain Harvey to become the main suspect instead. Evidence of Harvey's guilt, however, was never found.
November? And that would mean the list of names in the forged note is a list of casualties?
Yes, Your Honor. And to top it all off, on this Absolution Day, Harvey was to receive legal immunity for a supposed crime, in exchange for a confession. Nobody in the regiment liked Captain Harvey, but Dr. Siegfried and Lieutenant Victoria were the only ones with a burning passion to see him pay for his crime. So how about it, Dr. Siegfried? Is this what you wanted to hear me say?
Yes, this is quite enough, Mr. Wright. I think it is finally time we ended this.
Stop! You can't just... You have a right against self-incrimination, witness!
I am most aware of this, Miss Von Karma. If I was a petty man, I would have most likely attempted to claim that I left the forge note there because I anticipated Harvey committing suicide. But I've finally realized something. If I choose to evade the responsibility for my actions, I will be no better than Harvey was. Hence, I have one more confession to make, since I will not have the brother of Charlie November be found guilty of a murder he did not commit. Let it be known that I, Jason Siegfried, took the life of Janice Harvey on Absolution Day, and demand just retribution for my actions.
Objection! This confession is worthless! There's no way you could have created the explosive.
Objection! Jason did not have to craft any sort of explosive, because I made it for him, timer and all.
Irene! I was hoping you wouldn't get involved in this. You've already suffered so much.
Stop acting like I didn't have any role in this. I am not going to let you take the fall for something we both planned and executed together. I am to blame for Harvey's death just as much as you are. Just as we agreed. I made the explosive while you created the sculpture to conceal it in, which you then left in the iron chamber with a fake suicide note. The bomb was set to go off at 12:30 on the dot.
How? But how can this be?
I'm glad that they are finally allowed to get this off their chest.
Yes, they've been hiding it long enough. This confession may mean more to them than it does to us.
Mike, I'm so sorry you got caught up in this.
Everything we've done was in an effort to protect you. That's why I had to intervene on the trial's first day. Why we never told you about being part of the Helios 6 incident. And why I refused to give you the date of Absolution Day when you asked for it. I knew how important it was for you to see Harvey that day, but I did not want to risk putting you anywhere near harm's way.
So that's how it is. I was going to tell you about Arisia after Harvey was gone, I swear. But then all of this happened. When you showed up at the hospital that day and asked to stay in order to see Harvey, I just did not have it in me to deny you. I was hoping Irene could give you some menial task to keep you out of trouble until the coast was clear. But fate had something else in mind. When I found the note you left, I just panicked. I had to get you out of there before it was too late, so I called Harvey's office. At that moment, I realized what we thought had been justified retribution was nothing more than murder in cold blood. Had fate not been merciful, our bloodlust could have resulted in the death of someone innocent. Someone we had tried our hardest to protect. I couldn't have lived with myself knowing that. I swear, after I realized this, I called Harvey's office again and tried to warn him about the bomb. But the phone line was not functioning. Nevertheless, I kept calling his office in the vain hope he would pick it up before it was too late. My final attempt was merely a minute or so before Mike returned to the barracks. I could have sworn I heard the dialing tone for a second before the line went dead again. Ultimately, I couldn't spare Harvey's life. I shall forfeit my own as penance if that's the judgment I receive.
As shall I. In the end, we failed you, Mike. And I cannot apologize enough for that. We couldn't protect you from Harvey's hazing, or the false charges against you.
You're wrong. You haven't failed me. You and the rest of the company have been there for me every time I needed you the most. It is what has kept me going in my quest for the truth, and for that I am eternally grateful. The fact that you're both on the stand now is proof enough for me. While it's heartwarming to hear that we ultimately managed to do something right, I still have to apologize for putting you through this hell for the past 3 days. We, too, could have ended this with a few words, but instead we chose to stay silent.
I'm certainly curious as to why. If you truly wanted to protect Mike, why on earth would you lock the box? Or simply not confess immediately?
As far as I am aware, the combination for the box was set to the correct one. Surely the police wouldn't just start all over from zero.
Scruffy!
I see. That does explain a lot, then. As for the confession part, since we could no longer undo what we had done, we hoped that Harvey's death would still be declared a suicide and nobody would have to suffer because of it. There's still so much good we could have done with our lives. Or that's what we thought. Of course, looking back at it now, I can clearly see it is for what it is. Just a thin veil of self-deceit, a foolish assumption that we could keep running from our past misdeeds indefinitely. But no one can escape the ghosts of their own past.
I am sure some of you are wondering what drove us to commit this act. When we heard about Harvey being given legal immunity, it felt like we were spat on the face by the legal system. We simply lost all hope in Harvey being tried, and it was replaced by pure desperation. What had once been something I would vow to defend with my life now seemed like a den of corruption and collusion. I even went as far to suspect Lady Von Karma of withholding evidence, when she did not present the suicide note we left during the very first day of trial. Though, instead of trusting the courts, we took matters into our own hands in our misguided search for justice. But none of what we did could ever be called that.
For what it's worth, I forgive you for assuming I played dirty. However, something I cannot look past is your act of vigilantism. Taking another person's life is an unforgivable crime, and you tried to escape unpunished.
How tragicomic you should put it like that, Miss Von Karma. The Allied nations could never prove it, but I knew that Captain Harvey murdered 24 good people so he could hide his crimes and save himself from a life in prison.
What kind of crimes are you talking about, witness?
Harvey was suspected of explosives trafficking in Arigia. Everyone in his company agreed that he wasn't above it, but I never thought he'd have it in him to kill his own men. Worst yet, he never showed any signs of remorse about it. Instead, he tried blaming the whole incident on Charlie November, then tormented Irene and me with guilt for these 4 long years. This was the man the Allied Nations was going to give legal immunity. We couldn't allow it to happen. We just couldn't let that bastard get away. It's going to be okay, Irene. They know the whole truth now.
No, Jason, you don't understand. There's been something I've been hiding from everyone all this time. The true culprit of the Helios 6 incident.
What?
It was my fault. I'm the one to blame, not Harvey. And this photo proves it. See? These chemical detonators were left on top of a Helios 6 crate and they must have leaked onto the explosives. If only I had checked the depot like I was supposed to that day, all those lives would have been spared. Jason, I'm so sorry. When I presented you with the idea of taking Harvey's life, you must have thought that you were paying back Harvey for what he did to me, when in reality I used you for my own selfish ends, to stop Harvey from exposing the truth. He knew what I had done and was using this photo to keep me under his boot. But no more. Now that everyone knows the truth, I am finally free from his grasp. Jason, you should have just let me die that day. It's what I deserved.
Irene.
Yes?
Please, don't. I just don't want to hear you say another word. We're done here.
This is just so sad. Nick, is there really nothing we can do?
If this is really the truth, we can only offer them our sympathies.
Well, Nick, your job is to make sure it is the truth.
You're right. If I can somehow bring them comfort, I should at least give it a go. Miss Victoria, could I see that photo you showed me once more? I'd like to inspect it in more detail.
Go ahead, if you wish.
Right. Let's see if I can find anything that doesn't add up in this picture. Nothing particularly eye-catching, except for the detonators on top of the explosives crate. Wait, on top of the crate? Miss Victoria, this photo was originally taken by Captain Harvey, was it not?
Yes. Why do you ask?
Because I believe I can prove Harvey prepared the situation in this photo to be his insurance in order to frame you, when in reality, your actions that day played no part in the Helios 6 incident.
You can?
How?
Simple. There exists a piece of evidence which proves it was Harvey who moved the detonators on top of the crate. Take that! I have here another photo from inside the depot, taken by Sergeant Charlie November. Here we can clearly see that the detonator crate is on the floor.
Charlie took a photo of himself in the depot. Never mind that now. Please, Mr. Wright. I want to believe you, but unless you can prove also that Charlie didn't move the crate himself after taking the photo...
Don't fret. I believe I can do that as well. Dr. Siegfried, can you tell the court why Charlie abandoned his guard duty at the depot to see you that day?
Of course. It was because of the chemical burns on his hand, which he got from attempting to pick up some Helios 6 from the crate. It would have been impossible for him to lift the detonator crate with those burns.
Exactly. In addition, we can see in Harvey's photo that the detonator box is on top of a third unsealed crate. Since the two crates in the other photo were clearly sealed, this had to have been the one Charlie November reached into to burn his hand. And he couldn't have done so if the detonators were on top of the crate at the time. This means the crate was moved by the only other person who went to the depot after Charlie November left to seek medical attention. None other than Captain Janice Harvey, the true culprit behind the Helios 6 incident. Miss Victoria, you've been innocent all this time, and this proves it beyond any doubt.
Wow, Nick! That was downright amazing!
It helps when you have the evidence to back your case for once.
Innocent?
Yes, Irene. You can let it all go now.
I can't even begin to describe how relieved I am. Mr. Wright, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You may not realize it, but this means the world to me. What you've done today has allowed me to finally triumph over the guilt that has haunted me for years.
You've also brought closure to the families of those affected by the incident and cleared the name of Charlie November. I'm sure Mike appreciates what you've done. You should feel proud. Now that I mentioned Mike, I believe it's finally time to end this and give him his freedom. Your Honor, we hereby surrender to the court for our crime.
While I am saddened by your tragedy, taking the law into your own hands is unacceptable. Due process of law is the birthright of every human being.
So this is finally the end, I suppose. You win again, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? Mock me if you must.
I don't plan to, Miss Von Karma. You did what a prosecutor has to do.
Bah! Don't pretend like you know what being a prosecutor means. It is only by chance and due to the admirable conscience of the real culprits that an innocent man wasn't found guilty. If someone is lacking in their duties here, it is you, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? That is all I have to say to you. Your Honor, the prosecution has nothing else to add.
Understood. Mr. Wright, does the defense have any final statements?
The trial's about to come to a close, and Mike is almost a free man once again. I believe all the questions surrounding the murder have been answered, and every piece of evidence is accounted for. Or have they really? No, it couldn't be. Could it?
Nick, I think my sis urgently wants to talk to you.
What? How do you know that?
It's like, how should I put it? I can feel this strange, urgent sting in my soul.
Must be important then. Alright, go ahead. Let's hear her out.
Right, channeling her now.
Phoenix, long time no see.
Indeed. It's been a while, Mia. Maya said you wanted to talk to me.
Yes, Phoenix, you can't let the trial end here.
Come again, Chief?
Don't make me repeat myself. You're about to lose the truth.
So I was correct. There is more to this case.
It's good to see you've learned to think for yourself. So why are you not doing anything?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure if I should act on just a hunch.
Have you forgotten what I've taught you? How can your client depend on you if you doubt yourself? Listen carefully, Phoenix. If something is in the court record, it's more than a mere hunch. Maya has been keeping me up to date with the details of the case. Haven't you noticed all the loose ends? All the questions that are left floating in the air? The truth is veiled behind them. And if the trial is allowed to come to a close now, then it will be lost forever, Phoenix.
Then the confession we heard earlier is a lie?
To them, it's the truth. Because unlike you, they do not have all the pieces of the puzzle. All the answers are in the court record. Think, Phoenix, the second note found on the scene exists for a reason.
Since Mr. Wright seems to be preoccupied in chatting with his aide, I believe we have finally reached the conclusion of this extraordinarily confusing case. As we have heard a full confession, which is backed up by evidence, I see no reason to prolong this trial.
Now's the time, Phoenix. You can turn this case around one more time.
This court finds the defendant, Mike November.
Objection!
I leave the rest to you.
Mr. Wright, I am starting to run out of patience. Is no verdict good enough for you? What are you objecting to now? Do you want a super not guilty verdict?
The spirit of my long-dead mentor made me do it? But that's beside the point. This trial must continue.
Objection!
Your Honor, The defense is turning this tragedy of a trial into a travesty. He has already won the case. There is no reason to continue. In all my years of knowing foolish fools, I have never seen such foolish foolishness. Truly, Mr. Phoenix Wright has reached the very apex of being a fool. Hence I dub you the Uber Fool.
This isn't about winning. It's about the truth, Miss Von Karma. You may call me what you like, but it doesn't change the fact that there's still some inexplicable details that need to be addressed.
After 3 days of investigating and now a full confession, one would think we finally know what happened. Some menial details are hardly going to change the big picture.
I do have to agree with Miss Von Karma. It seems very, very far-fetched to think that.
Mr. Wright, it's okay. We're prepared to face the punishment for our crime.
Indeed. You have committed a very serious crime, and you'll have to answer for it. But you two didn't murder Captain Harvey. Someone else beat you to it.
What? What the?
What?
Order in the court! Mr. Wright, are you serious with this claim?
Objection! Objection, I say! I don't even have to say anything else! Listen to him!
That's right. Allow me to repeat my claim. The crime that Dr. Siegfried and Lieutenant Victoria committed is attempted murder. That's the most they can be held accountable for.
You're sure about this?
A man dies but once. Therefore, he can only be murdered once. I have my reasons to believe that by the time the bomb went off, Captain Harvey had already been killed by someone else.
Objection! Wake up, Mr. Phoenix Wright! The notion that such a murder exists is totally ludicrous! It's impossible for anyone we don't already know about to have entered the Iron Chamber at any point! Just take a look at the keycard logs.
I disagree. While these logs give us a lot of information, they may not be telling the whole truth. Because as it turns out, log entries can be deleted.
Why, this greatly undermines the credibility of these logs.
It really doesn't, Your Honor.
Why not?
Mr. Phoenix Wright, did you honestly believe I was not aware of the possibility of deleting logs? But that's all you can do! You can only delete logs, not edit them as you please. I haven't got the faintest idea of what he is raving on about. So I say let the Uber Fool explain his foolishly foolish foolishness. Mr. Phoenix Wright, tell us when this mystery killer supposedly entered the Iron Chamber.
Let's see. Captain Harvey entered his office just before 10 o'clock in the morning and met up with Dr. Siegfried almost immediately afterwards. Naturally, the true murderer had to enter later than that. Staff Sergeant Tennant was next and fought with Harvey until noon. From there, 10 minutes passed until Mike arrived, but Harvey was still alive at that point. Mike left a couple of minutes later at 12:15. The alarms went off at 12:35 when the auxiliary generator powered up. So that's a 20-minute gap the true murderer could have used. This must be it. Simple. They entered after Mike November had left.
But all people on this list except Mike November have an alibi for that time. Dr. Jason Siegfried and Lieutenant Irene Victoria were at the barracks waiting for Private November to return. And Staff Sergeant Tennant was supposedly lost in the regiment's woods, with security footage showing him heading away from the Iron Chamber's direction after leaving the mess hall. So, unless you wish to claim Mike November did commit this crime after all, Captain Harvey's killer cannot be any of those people.
Exactly.
Huh?
And since we know that Mike November is innocent, it means we should turn our suspicion towards the persons, or person, not appearing on this list. And my prime candidate for the mystery killer is Captain Adele Renard, the regiment's security chief.
Order! Mr. Wright, these are some extremely grave accusations. What evidence do you have to base this claim on?
I have all the evidence I need, Your Honor. At least Mia seems to think I do.
Very well. Miss Von Karma, any opinions?
I have voiced my opinion long ago. This is foolishness. The outcome of this trial has already been sealed. Prolonging it is merely turning a knife in my wound.
Right. Does the defense request that this Captain Renard be summoned to testify?
There is no need to send anyone for me, Your Honor, for I am present.
Oh, good. Then we shouldn't have a problem.
I am afraid that we do.
Pardon?
I would like to make some things absolutely, positively clear. I refuse to testify to this court.
Come again, Captain?
First, I have no interest in partaking in this charade. Unlike that wretch of a defense attorney, I have dignity I wish to preserve. Secondly, I have the right against self-incrimination, as Prosecutor Von Karma reminded us earlier. Mr. Wright wants me to testify purely so he can make a villain out of me.
Captain Renard, you do understand that if you refuse to testify, you also forfeit your chance to say anything in your defense?
Of course. This slimy attorney cannot possibly dream to pin the blame on me. After all, I have nothing to do with this murder. That is all you will be getting from me.
What a jerk! Think you can manage without a testimony?
It might be tough, but I think I might know how to coax him to testify.
Well, if the witness refuses to testify, we'll just have to turn to Mr. Wright's evidence.
Certainly. I just wonder, why would you make such a stupid move, Captain?
What was that?
I asked you a simple question. Why make such a bad move?
Pah! What are you on about?
Oh, it just seems to me that you're absolutely terrified of the prospect of your alibi being examined by a simple defense attorney.
I made my reasons very clear. This is slander.
Very well. I certainly won't stop you from handing control of your fate over to me. By refusing to testify, you've put yourself in a completely indefensible position. And it'll make my job a whole lot easier too, since you'll be forced to sit and listen when I tell the court all about how you murdered Captain Harvey. A shame, really. I expected more of a fight from you, Renard.
Mr. Wright, that is quite enough. The witness has made their decision. Now, if we could please move on to the evidence.
Wait. I changed my mind. I will testify after all.
Really now?
Having observed this trial, I have noticed that this court has the tendency to swallow most any scenario the defense feeds it. No offense, Your Honor.
I see.
It is simply best for everyone that I keep my right to defend myself against Mr. Wright's outrageous lies, even if it means I have to legitimize this pointlessness.
As you wish. Seeing as you're already on the stand, Miss Von Karma, please proceed with the formalities.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Captain Adele Renard, head of security at the AN Peacekeeping Regiment in Angeles Bay. Mark my words, Mr. Wright. You will not get away with this slander without repercussions.
Nick, you had better do your best! A defamation suit would mess up our budget, and I really don't want to give up my burger jar!
You have a burger jar? Then why am I the one always paying for your food?
Oh yeah! Nick, you have a witness glaring at you from the stand.
Yeah, right.
We're really starting from scratch here, but if there's more to be found, I'll dig it up. The stakes are high for both of us. Let's see which one of us has the better poker face.
First, I'd like to hear about your alibi for the day of the murder, Captain Renard. So without further ado, witness, testify.
Pah. I'm almost sorry to disappoint the court, but I really don't have much to say about my alibi. It was a normal work day for me, at least until the alarms went off. That means I spent the entire day in my office and didn't leave once, not even for lunch. Harvey stayed in his office and I stayed in mine. So I cannot possibly fathom how you can think that I could have killed him.
There. That wasn't so hard after all, was it?
I need not your disrespectful commentary, cretin. Start your cross-examination so we can end this mockery of justice.
I believe I should be the one. Yes, what he said. Please proceed with the cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
I'm almost sorry to disappoint the court, but I really don't have much to say about my alibi.
Hold it! Why not just comply in the first place, then?
As I said, I have dignity and had faith in the court before they allowed for these shameful antics of yours. But that has nothing to do with why you asked me to testify. Next statement.
But...
Next statement.
Fine. Be that way.
It was a normal workday for me, at least until the alarms went off.
Hold it! So, what does your normal workday involve?
I sit in my office, planning security shifts, inspections, and so forth. And I respond to any possible alerts that may arise. Luckily, that is a relatively rare occurrence.
And what did you do once the alarms went off?
As per protocol, I acknowledged the alarm using the security console in my office and headed out to investigate the cause. When I arrived, the military police had already found Harvey's body and were securing the area. I'll have to make sure they receive a proper commendation for their swift response. Either way, it was the first time I left my office that day. That means I spent the entire day in my office and didn't leave once, not even for lunch.
Hold it! Not even for lunch, huh?
Yes, precisely. Like Harvey, I brought my own lunch. I simply do not have the time to be running between the dining facility and my office. I have to stay ever vigilant and efficient.
So you ate lunch in your office?
Crying out loud, yes! How many times do I have to drill it in your thick cerebrum that I did not leave my office until the alarms went off?
So, what did you have for lunch?
Objection! Get to the point, Mr. Phoenix Wright!
I'm getting there. Just give me a moment.
Harvey stayed in his office and I stayed in mine. So I cannot possibly fathom how you can think that I could have killed him.
Objection! So, your testimony boils down to, I never left my office, therefore I couldn't have done it.
Exactly. I would like to emphasize the part, could not have done it.
Really? Because I'd like to emphasize the part where you're blatantly lying.
How dare you?
Well, either that, or you're really bad at your duties. You see, when we talked to Staff Sergeant Tennant a few days ago, he had this to say about the alarms.
What was odd, though, was that they went on for like a whole 10 minutes. It was like an air raid was going on or something.
It also happens to be that the sirens go silent only after the alarm has been acknowledged by the security chief, via the fingerprint scanner inside the security office. So tell me, Captain, why did it take you 10 minutes to acknowledge the alarm the explosion caused, if you really sat before the security console the entire time?
That can be easily explained.
It can?
Yes, it's quite simple.
Very well, witness. Please explain to the court why it took you so much time to react to the alarm.
Of course. Fine, I admit it. I was not in my office the entire time. I am a human. I have certain needs, urges, and also vices. What I mean to say is that I was out for a smoke. Unfortunately, I had an embarrassing little mishap. I forgot my keycard inside my office. I couldn't get into my office right away, but luckily I found a solution. I logged into the lobby's computer and used that to print a new keycard. That's why it took so long.
Witness, Do remember that you are under oath. Omitting things is not a wise thing to do.
I am aware. Please accept my most sincere apologies. I was hoping I could avoid divulging information regarding my little mistake. The courtroom gallery is full of my co-workers, after all. Well, mostly former co-workers after this trial.
I think your real mistake lies somewhere else entirely. Your testimony. Time to turn up the heat.
Mr. Wright, you may continue cross-examining the witness.
I'd be more than happy to, Your Honor.
Fine, I admit it. I was not in my office the entire time.
Hold it! Witness, that is grossly incongruent with your earlier testimony.
Is that tasteless tie of yours perhaps on too tight? You should be glad that I decided to grace you with even one testimony, ingrate.
Hey! Nobody mocks my tie! It's not tasteless, it's a classic! Psst. Maya, is my tie really tasteless?
Nick, now is really not the time!
Yes, you're right. Continue with your testimony, witness.
I am a human. I have certain needs, urges, and also vices.
Hold it! Please elaborate, witness.
During my career in intelligence, I have learned that everyone, no matter how pious, has one or two skeletons in their closet. Shameful secrets or guilty pleasures that require tending to. I can openly admit that I need a cigarette break every now and then. When the alarms went off, I was indulging in my personal vice. What I mean to say is that I was out for a smoke.
Hold it! So you don't have lunch with the others, but you still find the time for smoke breaks?
Yes. Nicotine is a harsh mistress, and I absolutely cannot risk smoking in my office. I wouldn't want the sprinklers to go off on the sensitive electronics.
But it's your duty to keep an eye on the alarm console.
Don't tell me how to do my job, Mr. Wright. I was right outside the building and just about to light my cigarette. But then I heard the alarms go off in the distance. Under normal circumstances, I could be back in my office in mere seconds.
But that's not what happened, was it?
No. Lady Luck was not on my side that day. Unfortunately, I had an embarrassing little mishap. I forgot my keycard inside my office.
Hold it! That's... How do you manage to do something like that?
I dare say I make mistakes far less often than you do, Mr. Wright. Human error is always a factor, and nobody's perfect.
Franziska seems to disagree. That's still a horrible excuse!
It's the truth, so suck it, Mr. Wright, unless you can prove any different.
Oh, I'll find something. Just you wait.
I couldn't get into my office right away, but luckily I found a solution.
Hold it! Do tell the court your solution.
I would have already done so if you would stop interrupting me with your obnoxious shouting.
Oh, go ahead then.
I logged into the lobby's computer and used that to print a new keycard. That's why it took so long.
Hold it! You just issued yourself a keycard to the security chief's office? Sounds like a huge security risk.
It really isn't. Issuing keycards to secure areas can only be authorized with my fingerprints. Making a spare card for myself is a breeze. However, the process takes time, and not even I can speed it up. I couldn't help but wait, but I assure you I acknowledged the alarm as soon as I only could.
What happened to the keycard you issued?
I destroyed it, as per protocol, along with the logs of it being used. Terribly sorry.
Oh, great. Destroying evidence like a pro.
Mr. Wright, the security chief's testimony seems quite solid.
Of course. It is what happened, after all.
Is the defense quite satisfied? Can we proceed to the verdict now?
To be honest, I'm quite disappointed.
That you couldn't make a villain out of me?
No! I thought you could come up with a better lie!
Preposterous! How about you stop saying everything your spit brings into your mouth and show evidence that actually proves something?
That's just what I'm about to do. Take that!
That looks like a keycard.
Yes, Your Honor. These cards allow access around the peacekeeping regiment. However, what's important here is not the card itself, but rather the process that goes into making one. Captain Renard, let's recall what you just claimed. You issued yourself a new keycard almost immediately after you heard the alarms, correct?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
How curious. Since the printer takes at least 15 minutes to produce each keycard, but according to Staff Sergeant Tennant, the alarm sirens rung out for only 10. You also stated in your testimony that not even you, the security chief, could speed up the process.
Yes, it does seem quite odd, doesn't it? But,
Witness, what is the meaning of this? Explain yourself at once!
Actually, what happened is that at the very moment the door to my office closed behind me, I checked for my keycard and noticed it was missing. So, in reality, I started up the process 5 minutes before the alarms. Simple as that.
Enough with the lies! You just claimed you could get in your office in mere moments if the alarms went off. Yet you said that happened before you could even light a smoke. You couldn't possibly have started the process 5 minutes early. The conclusion we could draw from all this is that you were in fact nowhere near your office at the time.
Fine. Since you think yourself so goddamn perceptive, how about you tell me where I was then?
Oh, I will. Let's take a look at the regiment's map with some additions made by Sergeant Tennant. Based on everything we know, I'd say you were around here. Take that!
The forest?
Yes, to be more precise, he was on his way back from the Iron Chamber using a small trail to avoid the cameras, after having murdered Captain Janice Harvey.
Objection! So sorry, Mr. Wright, but you have a critical flaw in your argument.
What?
I can provide you with the keycard logs to my door that day if you so desire. Since you assume I used my own card instead of a disposable one, my logs should be there, as I can't delete them myself. But I'll save you the trouble and assure you you'll find nothing. Would you care to explain that?
Renard's right. If he used his own card to enter, it would leave a log. But that just means he must have used something else.
Very well. Would this piece of evidence suffice as explanation? Take that!
It's another keycard?
Yes. This one is the spare keycard to the security office. Captain Renard has been storing it inside the office, so no one else could have gotten their hands on it. Clearly, you used this to enter and then wipe the logs.
Enough. This has gone way too far. I would like to remind this court that I am being accused by this man essentially because I did not see Captain Harvey that day. I had no reason to even think about killing him.
Really? Would you care to testify about your ties to Captain Harvey then?
I suppose I must, even if the thought of having to answer any more of your asinine questions makes me sick. Although, I am genuinely curious what kind of insane motive you'll come up with.
The next testimony shouldn't be too hard to crack, thanks to all the evidence we've got. But I can't help but dread what sort of can of worms we're about to pop open if we keep digging deeper.
You could say I was aware of Captain Harvey's existence, but the internal affairs of the engineer company have no relevance to me unless they pose a security threat. To sum it up, I guess you could call Harvey and I co-workers. Besides, I was employed by the Army until recently. It's not like we were ever interested in AN affairs.
Hopefully, this time you are telling the truth, Captain.
Just let the raving idiot in blue have a go at it, so we can all go home.
We're onto something here. Go get him, Nick!
You're right, Maya. Now's not the time to doubt. We'll see how far this road takes us.
You could say I was aware of Captain Harvey's existence.
Hold it! What do you mean by that exactly?
It's part of my job description to know who runs the show around the regiment. Captain Bear in Signals, Captain Wilco in CBRN, Captain Kurtz in the Special Forces, and, of course, Captain Harvey in Engineering proper. The list goes on. Captain Harvey was just one of the more notorious ones due to his practices. But the internal affairs of the engineer company have no relevance to me unless they pose a security threat.
Hold it! Surely you were aware of Harvey hazing the privates. Why didn't you act?
I follow the protocol, not rumors. The regiment staff should report any potential hazards or misconduct to me, and only then can we start an internal investigation. I received no such reports, thus I wasn't obligated to act. Again, what happens in the engineer company is no skin off my back. To sum it up, I guess you could call Harvey and I co-workers.
Hold it! So how often were you in contact with Captain Harvey?
Don't get me wrong. I meant co-workers in the sense that we work for allied nations. Harvey wasn't the type of person you'd like to go out for drinks with. We barely ever saw each other, let alone talked. He had his duties, and I had mine. Besides, I was employed by the Army until recently. It's not like we were ever interested in AN affairs.
There we have it. He completely denies it without a hint of hesitation. Then again, why wouldn't he? Under normal circumstances, I shouldn't even know about this piece of evidence, let alone carry it on me. Everything that happened on Absolution Day is the result of what transpired on that fateful day in the Eregia mountain range. So in order to establish Renard's motive, we must travel 4 years back in time and get to the bottom of it all.
Objection! Captain Adele Renard, before you joined the Allied Nations, you were an intelligence officer in the Army, isn't that correct?
I served in the Army, yes. But Captain Harvey never did, so I failed to see how that would create a connection between the two of us.
You can stop feigning ignorance, Captain, because you knew Janice Harvey, and you knew him extremely well. After all, the Army gave the Allied Nations professional assistance in investigating the Helio 6 incident, and I bet you were there as well.
How do you...
I have the investigation documents right here, Renard. The entire case file on the Helio 6 incident, with a disclosure about the Army offering professional assistance in the form of intelligence experts. You can deny your involvement all you want, but I bet if we send for your service record, we'll find you took part in the investigation as well. Do you still have the guts to claim you barely knew him?
Why, there's no question about it. This would establish a connection beyond any doubt.
What's so funny?
I never expected a fool like you to find that out. This report would indeed be solid evidence of a link between us. However, there's something important you should know about it.
Huh?
I have no idea where and how Mr. Wright acquired these documents, but by presenting them to this court, he has made the worst move of his career. You see, these documents are classified. Not only does it make that report illegal evidence, but possessing it without authorization is a crime in itself. So if you want to find your felon, you need to look no further than the defense bench.
Mr. Wright, this is no minor offense. What do you have to say for yourself?
Hey now, hold on! Captain Renard raises a very valid point. Presenting these files would have been a bad idea if they were still classified. However, as of February, they have been declassified upon the official end of Operation Aegis, the peace mission in Eregia. The report itself states this.
You just don't know when to quit, do you?
Whew. Dodged a bullet right there. He certainly isn't running out of underhanded tricks.
Very well. I did, in fact, take part in the investigation of the Helio 6 incident. In fact, I led the whole investigation. Not that there was much to investigate aside from a smoldering crater and a pile of corpses.
But the Allied Nations is independent of any single nation's armed forces. How did you end up in charge?
It was first suspected the incident was the result of insurgent activity, so naturally the army had its own interests in mind. It was simply a matter of offering professional aid when they requested it. The Allied Nations was happy to accept my expertise and discretion.
But in the end, the investigation didn't really succeed, did it? What went wrong?
You may have noticed that investigating an aftermath of an explosion is not an easy task. Almost all worthwhile evidence was destroyed in the blast, and the 3 surviving witnesses were of no help.
You said almost all evidence. You did recover something then?
Call it a miracle, but one of the shipping manifests of the Helio 6 crate survived the explosion, mostly intact. It had everything we needed to know on the technical side. Shipping date, and even Captain Harvey's signature. This manifest tells us the exact amount of explosives that were in the depot. 3 small crates of Helio 6. And it just so happens to be that I have it with me right here.
I think we'd all like to know why you're carrying evidence from that case on you, Captain Renard.
It's a legit question with a simple answer. When Captain Harvey became a rotting corpse, the case too became practically unsolvable. I took the liberty of going through all the evidence from the Helio 6 incident again and archiving it. After this trial, I was to deliver the items to the Allied Nations archives to await the next evidence transfer.
I'd like to take a look at that.
Oh, if you must. But it won't do you any good.
Let's see. Shipment accounting for 3 small crates of Helio 6. Hold on a minute. This can't be right. Captain Renard.
What is it now?
Who found this piece of evidence?
Yours truly. Not to brag, but it was quite a crucial part of the investigation, since the AN's logistics department had somehow managed to misplace their original shipping documents.
In that case, I hate to break it to you, but this manifest of yours is a fake.
Who the hell do you think you are, Mr. Wright? What sort of basis do you have to claim that this manifest isn't real? This is the only surviving copy of the shipment's details. What's next? You're going to suggest that we travel back in time and compare the manifest before the explosion happens?
Invert that. We're going to stay right here in the present, and something from the past is going to come to us.
A new piece of decisive evidence from 4 years ago? Don't make me laugh. I carry all possible evidence regarding the incident with me. Every last piece.
Or so you think. A single piece of evidence slipped through your manipulative fingers, and it'll expose your investigation for the sham it was. Take that!
And what is that supposed to be?
This is a letter written by Sergeant Charlie November of the 1st Special Engineering Company. He handed this letter over to be mailed on the very day he lost his life.
How touching. But what's the point of bringing up this little sob story?
Because attached to his letter was this. Take that, Captain Renard. Meet Mr. Blast. He will be your downfall.
Ah, how does this childish scribble prove anything at all?
It's not actually the drawing that's important, but rather what it's drawn on. A Helio 6 crate shipping manifest, accounting for 2 small crates, and a large one.
What? That's impossible!
This does put you neck deep in hot water, doesn't it, Captain? After all, you're the one who conveniently found, or should I say forged, the manifest you used as evidence in your investigation.
This manifest was recovered during the forensic investigation in Aresia. How do you have the nerve to just pull a paper like that from thin air and claim it's the real thing instead? Even if it was genuinely from one of the crates the first Special Engineering Company received, the date has been ripped off, so you cannot prove that the manifest belongs to the crates of Helios 6 that were destroyed in the blast that day.
Oh, but I can.
But how?
I'll show you how. Take that! This photograph was also enclosed in the letter. Why don't we take a look at it?
Why, that's the same photo from earlier.
Precisely. This photograph shows Sergeant Charlie November inside the first Special Engineering Ammo Depot, with crates of Helios 6 in the background.
Nice try, Mr. Wright, but we can only see 2 crates of Helios 6 here, and both are small. And don't even think about trying to claim the one in Harvey's photo is large. We see too little of the actual crate to make any conclusions.
That wasn't my point, Captain. Even though we can't see the large crate in this picture, we can see something just as crucial.
Would you care to point it out for us, Mr. Wright?
I would be glad to. Take that! There were actually 2 things in this photo that prove the manifest I presented is without a doubt the real one. Firstly, the timestamp is marked as April 4th, the day of the Helios 6 incident.
That won't cut it. That manifest could still have been torn from any prior shipment.
Funny you should put it like that. Take a look at the crate Sergeant November is posing behind. You could see something's been ripped from it. Now, if we were to turn this paper around and compare the rip on the crate, I'd say we have a perfect match. Which means that this manifest must be from the shipment of Helios 6 that caused the destruction of the first Special Engineering Company.
No! This must be a mistake. It has to be. Some sort of gross clerical aberration.
The difference between these 2 manifests is indeed quite gross. It amounts to about 20 kilograms of Helios 6 being unaccounted for. Curiously enough, that exact amount was recovered from a group of arrested Aresian insurgents in the same region.
The explosive trafficking claim!
How do you know all this, you miserable reprobate?
A little birdie told me so to say. Let's connect the dots, shall we? 20 kilograms of Helios 6 was found upon the arrest of some Aresian insurgents, in the same region Captain Harvey's unit had their camp. The manifest you found just happens to be 20 kilograms short of what actually was in the ammo depot of the first Special Engineering Company. This whole thing reeks of cover-up.
That's enough. I've had it with your conjecture, you scum. I had nothing to do with the explosives or insurgents. There'd be nothing in it for me.
I beg to differ. You had quite an incentive. Take that!
Money? I fancy myself a bit of a numismatic, but I haven't seen bills like this before.
Yes, Your Honor. This is foreign money, and we found it in Captain Renard's office.
Why, this looks like a small fortune to me.
You 2 would dare ransack my office?
So you admit that all this money is yours, Renard? Would you like to explain where all this came from?
Those are my savings. Yes, that's right.
But both the Army and Allied nations pay their personnel's salary in dollars. Why are your savings in foreign bills?
I had them exchanged. I prefer their charming exoticness to the faces of dead presidents.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can't help wondering just how much this pile of money is actually worth.
Sorry, but I haven't been counting lately.
That's fine, because I can tell you right away. The total worth of all this money is 0.
Zero? You mean to say that all this money is worthless?
Yes, because this money is an old Aresian currency. It became obsolete after the Aresian money reform, which happened soon after the Helios 6 tragedy, as evidenced by this newspaper article. This means Captain Renard acquired all of this money during his Aresian mission.
But how is that possible?
Sergeant Charlie November's letter mentions a shady uniformed man not wearing AN colors meeting up with Captain Harvey. Someone from the army, apparently. They were arguing over a delivery. I believe I have a pretty good picture of what happened between you and Harvey. You persuaded him to help you acquire Helio 6 to sell, and then you double-crossed him. You planned for him to take the fall all along, and then made sure you had the stranglehold afterwards. And for that reason, you made sure you led the investigation of the Helio 6 incident. You could manipulate the evidence as you please to threaten Harvey and hide your own involvement. Captain Renard, this money is your reward for supplying the group of insurgents with 20 kilograms of Helio 6. Do you deny it?
No. In fact, I admit it.
You do?
Do I look like I'm trying to crack a joke here? It is as you say, for the most part. So, let me tell you a story. A story of a weak-willed, pathetic man who deserved to be used. During my stay in Arisia, I made a few contacts, so to say. Contacts who were willing to pay handsomely for certain supplies. They requested me to deliver them explosives or whatever follies they were up to. I couldn't care less about their cause, but I do enjoy a challenge when one presents itself. Thus, I decided to give them proper bang for their buck. I went for the strongest explosive I could only find, and that so happened to be Helio 6. It didn't take too much time to figure out the weakest link in the delivery chain. Captain Janus Harvey and his band of do-gooders. Harvey was cynical and self-centered. He was easy enough to talk into helping me out with promises of immense wealth. The idiot didn't second-guess me when I told him the explosives would be delivered to the army. Of course, I never intended him to get anything other than the blame. Soon enough, thanks to a logistics error, extra Helio 6 was shipped for the company to use. I used my skills as an intelligence officer to make sure no specifics of the delivery remained in the AN databases. In hindsight, it was almost too easy. Harvey handed the explosives over and agreed to be paid as soon as I had received the money. After all, who wouldn't trust an army intelligence officer? So I delivered the Helio 6 to my contacts, and they gave me a briefcase full of money as a reward. Not that I ever planned to use any of it. The thrill of the challenge itself was all I wanted.
You monster!
Save your preaching. Helio 6 cannot be detonated without special chemical detonators, and those were never part of the deal. The insurgents were totally unaware of that, of course. Just as they thought I was unaware that the money they gave me was soon to be worthless. This left me with a little dilemma. A gullible AN captain expecting payment, and a bunch of insolent, deceitful insurgents who would no doubt soon notice their ultra-high-yield explosives were useless to them. So I blew the whistle on both of them. The insurgents were arrested, and it would only be a matter of time when they would track the explosives back to the corrupt Captain Harvey. So, I screwed over both a corrupt officer and the violent insurgents. The Helio 6 was recovered, and both parties were to be arrested, which really makes me the hero of this story.
The audacity of that claim!
The insurgents had all the reasons to rat you out upon arrest, Renard.
Of course they had. It was a calculated risk, but since the AN do-gooders are bound by law to surrender any arrested Arisian nationals to the government forces, well, let's just say our insurgents didn't feel very talkative after the firing squad was done with them. Of course, I was already off the hook, and could have just left it there, but then I became curious.
Curious? Of what?
Curious of just how far I could push him.
Stop talking in riddles, Adele Renard!
As you wish. I let Harvey know who he had really supplied with the explosives, and the fact it would in all probability result in him spending the rest of his life in prison. I had also made sure the poor fool had absolutely no evidence of my involvement. It was just a matter of suggesting that the company would most definitely turn on him, so the only way he could escape his fate was to silence them all. Perhaps they could all meet with a terrible accident. Explosives are dangerous after all.
You're saying it was your idea? You killed them all, you bastard!
Excuse me? I did no such thing. Harvey was the one who armed the detonator after all, out of his own free will. So my little experiment was a great success. But I wasn't quite done with Harvey. Oh no. You should have seen his face when I walked into the tent as the incident's head investigator. Truly a delicious sight. He knew I could expose him at any time, so we made a little arrangement. He could donate me some money every now and then, and I'd conveniently forget I ever met him. Too bad about that promotion he received, which ruined my little experiment. Nevertheless, it was quite fascinating to see his paranoia evolve the way it did. A single subtle hint from me, and he became morbidly afraid I was going to try something to end him. Humorous, really, considering he ended up being murdered by his supposed allies, the nauseatingly pretentious doctor and his one-eyed PTSD damsel. All in all, I don't regret coming here today. This trial has been a source of endless entertainment for me. Hell, I could hardly contain my laughter when she made that confession about being the true culprit behind the Helios 6 incident. It was hilarious.
You vile creature.
So congratulations, Mr. Wright. You've won your little game. You have proved beyond reasonable doubt that I committed some very serious crimes in Aresia. Forgery, blackmail, providing insurgents with Helios 6. For getting this far, I have to commend you. I have just one simple question for you, Mr. Wright. What are you going to do about it?
What the hell kind of question is that? I'm sure me and everyone else in this courtroom wants to make you answer for your crimes.
Yeah, we're all going to make sure you end up behind bars.
And you are going to do that with what right?
Explain yourself, Adele Renard.
Ha! And here I thought 2 lawyers would have figured it out already. How disappointing. In the heat of a pursuit, it can be so very easy to forget what really matters. Like the fact that this trial isn't about what happened 4 years ago in Aresia.
You scum.
You cannot just summon a man to testify in someone else's trial and then suddenly accuse him of a crime that was committed years ago and bears no clear relevance to the trial at hand, even if you had all the evidence to prove that he is guilty. The justice system just doesn't work that way.
But you already confessed!
Sure I did, but this isn't my trial. Nor does this court have legitimate judicial power over crimes that were committed abroad in the service of the army. This court has no legal right to detain me, let alone pass any sort of verdict. We were never playing the same game. Everything you think you won today is irrelevant.
This establishes your motive beyond a shadow of a doubt, Renard. You killed Captain Harvey because he was going to get immunity from your blackmail and expose you.
Mens rea, the guilty mind. But thoughts or dark fantasies do not kill people, Mr. Wright. Having a motive doesn't make it any more probable that I killed him, no matter how much you would like to see things that way. Besides, haven't we had the murderers confess to Captain Harvey's death already? Give up, you stubborn worm. Now, if you're done wasting your breath, allow me to tell you what happens next. I am going to walk out those doors behind me. out of this courthouse and disappear from the very face of the earth, and all of you will be powerless to stop me. Unless you wish to break the law you hold so dear. Actually, I insist. Try and stop me by force. Show everyone that what you call justice cannot be achieved unless you break the laws keeping it afloat. Nobody? Not that blue cretin or his obnoxious aide? Not the little girl who feels the need to arm herself in order to be taken seriously? Not the senile, shriveled old man who perfectly embodies justice in all of its gullibility? You're all a bunch of idiots letting me walk away, you know. But I guess it can't be helped. Take a good, hard look. For this is the last you will ever see of Captain Adele Renard, the man who masterminded the Helios 6 incident and walked away scot-free.
Renard, you bastard! I'll hunt you down and end you myself if it's the last thing I do.
Oh, you won't be doing anything of the sort, Siegfried. The only place you and your little Cyclops girlfriend are going is death row for the murder of Janice Harvey. And I know when they seat you down in that chair, just before they flick the switch, you will remember this moment and weep in rage and anger. And the thought thrills me more than anything in my life. Now, before I go, I would like to have a little something to remember you all by. Any last words?
No! I can't let this monster escape! I have to—
Objection! Captain Adele Renard, you will not leave this courtroom yet.
I don't take orders from little girls.
But you will take them from the acting prosecutor when in the role of a witness to this court. I have no intention of letting you walk away before I'm done with you.
That's too bad, because you have no right to keep me here against my will.
You're wrong. Your Honor?
Yes, Miss Von Karma?
This witness has used his time on the stand to brag and insult most every party in this room, including you, and is refusing to finish his testimony. That's why the prosecution suggests that he be held in contempt of court unless he finishes his testimony on his actions on Absolution Day.
Miss Von Karma, I think you have a very valid point.
Of course. Franziska, you're a genius! The defense agrees. He has been quite disrespectful. Tisk, tisk, tisk.
What?
Nick, what's going on?
The contempt of court is the judge's ultimate weapon. If someone is disturbing the formal court proceedings in any way, like hurling insults, they may be held in contempt. That means the judge can order the witness to be detained immediately for a period of time, unless they comply with the court's orders. You should remember this. You were held in contempt once.
Oh, yeah.
Now then, Captain Adele Renard, this court has heard quite enough of your egotistical pompousness. You will finish your testimony as Miss Von Karma asked, or I will have you in contempt in a swing of a gavel. You might also recall that the doors are locked, so attempting to escape wouldn't prove to be a very fruitful idea.
I see you'll be staying with us for a while longer, Captain. That hopefully won't be a problem, officer. So, allow me to tell you what happens next. You will testify exactly what you did on the day of the murder, or the judge will have a cozy little cell ready for you. While you're rotting in there, I think the Allied Nations headquarters will find plenty of time to start looking into your involvement in the Helios 6 incident.
Now this game is getting quite interesting. A magnificent maneuver, I must say. However, this game can be played by both of us. As we know, today is the last day of Mike November's expedited trial. No time for investigations or recesses anymore. I'm your final witness, your final lifeline. If I'm put in contempt, you will have nobody left to testify, and the trial ends with these two murderers being found guilty of their crime. If I go down, I'm dragging these two to hell with me. But that won't do for the defense, will it? After all, you stubbornly believe they didn't do it, that you can still somehow pin Harvey's murder on me. This is my final testimony, and after that, you will have to let me go. The gloves are off, so have at you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You may have established that I wasn't at my office at the time of the murder, and that I had a very good motive. But you're forgetting something very important. I wouldn't know how to craft a bomb if my life depended on it. As for where I was jogging in the regiment woods until I heard the alarms. Face it, Mr. Wright, you can never prove I did it. So why don't you just lay down and die?
The witness's last statement shall be stricken from the record.
As if I care. Let's end this.
Mr. Wright, are you ready for your final cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor, I am. And I'll be damned if I let this slimy bastard off the hook.
Then, begin your cross-examination.
This is futile, you know. You are destined to lose, no matter how hard you try.
Franziska gave me this opportunity, and everyone's placing their faith in me. It's up to me alone to take them down. But can I really do this? Do I have the right evidence? Have I really understood everything?
The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
What am I thinking? Now's not the time to doubt myself. I need to stand proud and tall, no matter what happens. It's time to put on a confident smile and bring this man to justice. Let's begin, Renard.
You may have established that I wasn't at my office at the time of the murder, and that I had a very good motive. But you are forgetting something very important.
Hold it! You could come up with as many lies as you can, but I will expose every single one of them as long as it takes.
How dramatic. If you weren't such a weakling, we would truly be two of a kind.
I'm nothing like you, and I never will be.
Really? Think about it, Mr. Wright. You too are a predator. You prey on the witnesses, eager to find their weak spots and then exploit them in order to achieve your own goal of winning the trial. After they have nothing left to offer, you discard them like gnawed carrions.
You're wrong, Renard. I fight because I trust in my client, and to reveal the truth behind each case.
But isn't that what the prosecutor over there is also trying to do? Only to her, the truth is that your client is the murderer, and she will fight equally fiercely to prove it. Someone's truth is a lie. Maybe there is no truth.
Witness, you will not drag me into this!
Tell me, Mr. Wright, why does a potential murderer deserve your trust, when it means you have to distrust everyone else? The police, the prosecution, the witnesses. I am certain that in your head, you have already suspected every member of the regiment for this crime, and feverishly tried to connect the dots to figure out how they could have done it. Such is your nature, and you preach about trust? Just look at the pot calling the kettle black.
Trusting your client is the core of the defense attorney's creed.
A trust in other people is the very basis of a civil society. A society that needs to be protected from monsters like you.
What hollow rhetoric. Trust is mankind's greatest weakness, and a society based on it deserves to be exploited by those who are above the artificial boundaries of laws and morals. Your creed is worthless. In the end, it's all about you and your satisfaction. Everyone else can just as well burn.
This is your last warning, Captain Renard. One more irrelevant statement, and I'll have you held in contempt.
Oh dear. Mr. Wright, what do you think? Should the judge hold me in contempt?
Your Honor, please, let's continue with the testimony.
That's what I thought. Now, as I was saying, you are forgetting something critical. I wouldn't know how to craft a bomb if my life depended on it.
Hold it! You must have used something else to kill Harvey.
Is that hesitation I sense? Is the pressure getting to you, Mr. Wright?
Don't let his taunts get under your skin, Nick. He knows he's on his last legs.
It would serve you well to think for a moment before opening your mouth. Or perhaps you have some evidence to show.
Concentrate, Phoenix. Take a deep breath and clear your mind. There has to be something in the court record.
Do save yourself the trouble. You and I both know you have nothing. As for where I was jogging in the regiment woods until I heard the alarms.
Hold it! That's an outright lie!
No. I assure you, it is the truth. It was a beautiful day, and I couldn't resist the urge of some physical exercise. I have to counter the effects of smoking, after all. If you doubt my story, then prove me wrong. But you can't do that, can you? Face it, Mr. Wright. You can never prove I did it.
It feels like every single cell in my body echoed that objection. Finally, everything's falling into place. It all makes sense now. I have everything I need to take you down, Renard.
Adele Renard, I've got you now. You want me to tell the court how you murdered Harvey? So be it. Captain Harvey was poisoned.
What?
Can you believe this moron? For 3 days you fought over who put the bomb in the iron chamber, and now you're saying Harvey was poisoned?
Indeed. The bomb threw the entire investigation wildly off track, because we believed the victim died as a result of the explosion, when in fact he was already dead when it hit. Captain Harvey did not go out with a bang, but a whimper.
Oh, so what did old Harvey ingest? Cyanide? Atroquinine? Tubocurin, perhaps?
No. The cause of his death is ironically something that was supposed to keep him alive. His heart medicine. Traces of it were recovered from Captain Harvey's bloodstream.
But Mr. Wright, we know the victim was on permanent medication. Wouldn't it be natural that the victim had the medicine in his bloodstream when he died?
Certainly, Your Honor. But there's more to this. Allow me to explain. Captain Harvey's medication was switched not too long before the day of the murder. In fact, Dr. Siegfried brought Captain Harvey his new medication when he visited him on Absolution Day. The medicine in this autopsy report, however, is his old brand, which should not have been found in his bloodstream.
Pah! Harvey probably just popped one of his old pills out of habit.
That can't be true. If Harvey did abide to his habits, there wouldn't be any heart medicine in his body in the first place, because he was prescribed to take his medication after lunch.
Menial details. None of this proves that Harvey was poisoned by someone, least of all me.
Then would you care to explain why there was a note in your office reminding you to purchase more Peso-K? The very same prescription medication Harvey used to be on?
That's none of your business.
I find it very odd that someone like you would have knowledge or access to a prescription drug for cardiac arrhythmia. Unless you use it to treat your own heart condition. The same one Harvey had.
What a ridiculous assertion.
Then you probably won't mind if we have the bailiff search your person.
What? Of course I do. How the hell do you justify something like that?
According to Dr. Siegfried, those with the condition are always supposed to have the medication on hand, in case the symptoms worsen, especially due to anxiety under stress. You've been squirming for quite some time, and I don't think you're doing yourself any favors by prolonging the dose you need. So, Renard, are you gonna cough up the medication voluntarily, or will the bailiff have to pat you down?
Fine. I carry the goddamn medication. This still proves nothing.
While you provide some good points, Mr. Phoenix Wright, I'm afraid I do have some doubts as well. One would think that if Captain Harvey actually died because of an overdose, the toxicological analysis of his body would have made that quite clear.
I'm getting there, Miss Von Karma. Just please bear with me. This has less to do with how much of the medication there was in Harvey's body, and more with what it was ingested with. We should recall that Captain Harvey had been drinking his Arisian spirits during lunch. Dr. Siegfried, you're trained in pharmacology. What would happen if someone were to ingest Pace-OK heart medicine with hard alcohol?
Nothing good, that's for certain. Since both act as pharmacological depressants, the synergistic effect of the two potentiates the effect to a dangerous level, which could potentially slow the heart rate enough to cause cardiac arrest, even if the medication was a normal dose. Taking into account Harvey's medical history, I'd say he'd have at most 15 minutes to live if he did mix his medication and alcohol, and I had made very sure that he was aware of the risk.
Thank you for your input, Doctor. Now, there's something that Mr. November testified about during the first day of the trial, which had also been bothering me. So when you left Harvey, he was alive?
Yeah, drunk, but alive.
Wait, did you say drunk?
Yep, that's partly why I didn't get much out of him. It was an ugly sight to behold.
Now let's recall what Staff Sergeant Tennant said on the second day of the trial. Did Captain Harvey actually do anything during your fight?
Well, not really. The man just sat there and gave me the Harvey stare. The only thing he told me was to get out when my time was up. But I could see that he was boiling inside, so it felt like an S-rank victory to me. I even saw the man pop open his precious bottle of spirits before I left, so I must have left quite an impact.
Mr. November entered the Iron Chamber at 12:11, mere 11 minutes after Captain Harvey had opened up the bottle, and he claims the victim was already drunk by that time. But I posit that Captain Harvey was not drunk. He was in stupor from ingesting heart medicine mixed in the spirits. If this is the case, then Harvey was undoubtedly dead by 12:25, before the bomb ever got a chance to explode.
Miss Von Karma, I expect you to explain to the court why none of this is mentioned on any of the autopsy reports you've presented.
Very well. I admit that there was an oversight in the initial investigation, as none of us suspected that consumption of alcohol had any role in the victim's death at the time. In the end, we only tested for his heart medication levels and some of the more common poisons. However, we also made sure to take extra samples for later testing in case something like this arose, and may scan them now to see what we can find.
Oh, this is just too much. Let's all lose our minds and play along with Mr. Wright's insanity, shall we? Say your precious analysis confirmed that Harvey kicked the bucket because he took heart medicine mixed in his spirits. What would it mean for this case? I'll tell you. It would make everyone who ever visited Harvey a suspect. Anyone could have poisoned that bottle during these 4 years. Do you realize how easy it is to inject something through a bottle cap with a simple syringe?
Not in this case. The bottle of spirits was specially sealed with a solid iron plug. Injecting anything through that would be impossible. Which means the murderer had to personally be there to spike Harvey's drink.
That's quite a creative little story. Too bad it's fundamentally flawed, and I bet Little Miss Prosecutor can tell you why.
I'm sorry to say, but the forensics team analyzed the contents of the bottle and found nothing out of the ordinary.
See? That makes your theory absolutely worthless.
Not necessarily. It just means that the killer didn't poison the whole bottle. Miss Von Karma, were the contents of Captain Harvey's drinking glass analyzed as well?
Unfortunately, that was impossible. The plaster dust had soaked up the spirits that had been in the glass.
How unfortunate for you two, isn't it? Although, even if you had found something, it wouldn't have made a difference. Because you cannot prove that I, or anyone else not on that list, went to the Iron Chamber on Absolution Day. If you're saying I poisoned Harvey's drink, I should have been there soon after Staff Sergeant Tennant had left, correct? I would certainly make sure he didn't try anything funny while dying, so I'd certainly keep a constant eye on him. This is purely hypothetical, of course, but lo and behold, after some 10 minutes, in waltzes the graceless Private November. But does he remember seeing anyone else there? No. How did our murderer know to avoid him? And how did he hide in the desolate bunker? Did they just vanish into thin air?
No. This vanishing act has a lot less to do with the supernatural. Take that!
Isn't that the box I hid in?
Precisely. As we can see from the additions to the bunker's blueprints, empty cardboard boxes lay in the hallway leading to the Iron Chamber, among those containing Captain Harvey's belongings. And they can easily conceal a slender enough human being inside. The bunker's loudspeaker must have alerted you, giving you 60 seconds to hide. And with no place to do so in the Iron Chamber, you rushed back to the hallway and hid in one of the empty boxes.
All you have is conjecture after conjecture. Could-haves and maybes. Those aren't worth jack. None of your evidence is conclusive.
We'll get there. Just hang on tight, Renard. Lucky for you, Mr. November's visit with Captain Harvey was cut short by a phone call from Dr. Siegfried. It would have been quite incriminating had Harvey died in front of him. What wasn't so lucky was that Mike decided to pull the bunker's electricity kill switch on the way out. This mixed things up quite badly for your plan, because you had yet to remove your keycard logs from Captain Harvey's computer. Since you're in the habit of wearing gloves, naturally you wouldn't leave fingerprints on the kill switch when you turn the power back on. However, the fact that Mike had pulled the switch forced you to wait 10 minutes for the computer to boot again, before you could proceed to the deletion. But then something unexpected happened. Right as you were entering the Iron Chamber again, Captain Harvey's office was called again by Dr. Siegfried, who was trying to make sure Private Mike November had really left. I imagine at this point Captain Harvey realized his end was near. So when the phone rang, he used the last remnants of his strength to try and answer it. So you rushed to silence him with a strike to the neck. After unplugging the phone line, you were forced to wait 10 minutes for the computer to boot up, before you could access the log files and delete your visits from the record. After all, Harvey was hardly in a position to struggle anymore, so using his hand to authorize the deletion would have been a breeze. On your way back out at 12:25, you pulled the switch back again. Otherwise, it would have been left in the wrong position, which would have aroused suspicion. But little did you know that you weren't the only one with murderous intentions that day. Inside the bust of Captain Harvey, a time bomb was ticking, set to go off in just 5 more minutes, ultimately causing the alarm at 12:35 when the power returned again. However, you were still making your way back to the security office, which is located approximately 20 minutes from the Iron Chamber. It took you 10 more minutes to rush back and officially acknowledge the alarm.
That is quite a story. Truly, you are the king of conjecture. As if the explosion in the Iron Chamber wasn't enough to explain why the phone line was disconnected. Besides, what reason do we have to believe anything the doctor has said? I give you credit for creativity, but I believe it's also time I invoke Occam's razor. You claim I jumped through all those hoops to kill Harvey. I, in turn, propose Harvey merely stashed some of his old medication and committed suicide using that. Honestly now, which is the more likely option? After all, without a single piece of solid evidence, your tale is no more credible than the ramblings of a lunatic.
What I've said is the truth, and once I place you on the scene, this case will be clear as day.
How precious. You still think you have hope of winning?
I don't only think I can win, I know I can. For years, you've been avoiding your punishment, Captain Renard. With lies, deceit, coercion, and more luck than a monster like you deserves. But it all ends today, and it ends right here and right now. And the final piece of evidence that will seal your fate is this. Take that!
Why, that's the inconclusive suicide note.
That's the best you can do?
It's all I need to put you on the scene of the crime.
What?
Your Honor, members of the jury, 2 very different suicide notes were recovered from the Iron Chamber. We already know that one of them was made by Dr. Siegfried, but the final mystery remaining is the author of the second note. However, I think we'll find out soon. Let's recall something that Miss Von Karma told us at the start of today's trial.
You're saying that it's possible to detect if 2 handwritten forgeries have been made by the same person?
It is complicated, but possible, Your Honor. If by chance 2 forgeries were attempting to imitate the same person's handwriting, we can scan them for shared deviations in the penmanship to determine if the forgeries are by the same person.
Captain Renard, you submitted this Helio 6 shipping manifest as evidence to the court, and we've already confirmed it's a forgery. It also conveniently includes Captain Harvey's signature, as does the inconclusive note. So, what do you think the handwriting analysis will tell us if we try comparing the handwriting on these 2 documents?
I have the scanner with me, sir. We're ready to begin the analysis right now.
Do it, detective!
No.
All right, here we go.
Analyzing. Please wait.
Stop.
What's the matter, Captain? Not feeling too well?
Analysis 20% complete.
Stop this.
Analysis 25% complete.
I order you to stop at once.
The entire court held their breath as the scanner continued its analysis. Captain Renard was squirming and sweating like an eel on a hot plate. Until finally, the device announced its verdict.
Handwriting analysis complete. Results 100% match.
End of the line, Renard. You have no way of squirming your way out of this one.
But you have a choice. You can face your defeat as a man or as a coward.
So which one will it be, witness?
Enough! Oh, you may think you have me backed into a corner, but you forget that when you corner a ferocious beast, you leave it with no choice but to fight back with all the fury it can muster. And I would rather die than surrender to the likes of you. Nobody move.
What the?
As of this moment, I am back in command. What I have here is a Helio 6 chemical detonator, and what I just attached to it is a piece of Helio 6. Together, they have the potential to send every single person in this courtroom straight to hell.
Bailiff, do something! Stop the witness at all
Don't try to be a hero. This detonator is customized with a dead man switch, so shooting me would prove to be very foolish indeed.
A dead man's switch?
It means that if he's incapacitated, the bomb will detonate on its own.
Precisely. This is to ensure that I get my way. See, Arisian money was not the only thing I grabbed to remember my dear insurgent friends by.
You spineless coward! You wouldn't.
Why not? I have absolutely nothing more to lose. This is my true last stand. I have but a single, simple demand. Unlock the door. Now. I wish to leave.
Objection! You were bluffing at Renard. You couldn't possibly have anticipated this.
I admit, I never in my wildest dreams expected you to expose me for killing Harvey. But the astronomical possibility existed, so I planned for it. Only a true fool leaves his very fate to chance and puts themselves in an indefensible position. Now, I will make the situation extremely clear for you. You will either unlock that door and let me leave. Nobody gets hurt, and everyone lives happily ever after. If not, everyone here dies. And if I see anyone calling for help with their phones, I'm detonating this on the spot. There will be no negotiations or cross-examinations. Make your choice.
You truly are a ruthless man, Adel Renard. Your actions have led to unimaginable suffering, and you seem incapable of feeling any remorse for your crimes. You have no place in a civilized society. However, it is my duty as a judge to first ensure the safety of every person in this courtroom is not compromised. I agree to your demand. Bailiff, unlock the door.
I knew you'd do the rational thing, Your Honor.
Do not think of this as a victory, Renard. You may walk away, but you'll never be a free man again. You will live the rest of your life as an international fugitive. Sooner or later you will be caught and will have to pay for your crimes.
You give the police too much credit. For them, I'm just another bad guy to look around for, and I'll be out of this country before they can even open an investigation. So your patronizing is as useless as any verdict you would rule in my absence. I will never be held accountable. Now, the keys, if you will.
Damn it! We already had him!
See, Mr. Wright? I told you you'd lose. I always win, even if I have to change the rules to do so.
You disgusting cheater!
The doors, now!
There's gotta be something I could do. The only thing preventing the bailiffs from stopping Renard is the threat of the bomb going off. So if I could prove without a shred of doubt that he's bluffing, we could stop him from escaping. But I doubt I have more than one shot at this. Do I have the one final piece of evidence that disarms him?
Objection! Adele Renard, you came so very close to worming your way out.
Open the door.
That bomb of yours is an impressive prop. I have to give you that. But I don't think you'll detonate it, even if you wanted to.
Shut up! Do you want to die?
You're not a threat to any of us.
Open this goddamn door right now.
Where's that detonator might indeed be a chemical detonator, designed specifically for and only for Helio-6. The explosive itself is definitely nothing more than a dud.
What are you blathering about, you lunatic?
You've already done everything needed to call your bluff. Namely, you took off your gloves.
What?
Helio-6 was designed to be powerful, yet safe. But it came with a price. The chemical coating was known to cause severe painful blistering upon skin contact. Yet your hand seems perfectly fine. The fact that the Helio-6 doesn't burn your hand is a telltale sign it's lost its explosive properties. And seeing how it's attached to a chemical detonator that only works with Helio-6, I'd say there's nothing for us to fear.
I swear, if I hear one more word from Mr. Wright, I will send us all to hell. Would you really trust this feeble attorney with your life?
I would, and countless others already have. No matter what Nick might seem to you, to me, he is someone I know I can always depend on. He fights to protect the innocent. And I know that he would never do anything to put me or anyone else in harm's way. I believe in him. And there is no one else in the world whom I'd rather trust with my life.
How sickening. The defense's aide has been blinded by her naivety. No sensible person would trust this man.
Allow me to prove you wrong.
You fools.
It looks like your final line of defense has fallen, Renard. Bailiff, secure the witness.
This will be another crime added to the long list of evils you'll be held accountable for.
For being an abomination to humanity.
For betraying your country and comrades for the sake of a thrill.
For all the lives that were lost because of your actions, and all the families that had to suffer because of you.
This is as far as your lies will take you.
The truth has been revealed. There's no place to run or hide anymore. You've finally been caught, Adele Renard. This is the end of your twisted game.
No. How could this happen? I was prepared. White page 6 takes Black Knight. Your move. Impossible. I can't be cornered by these fools. Your move. There's nowhere I can go. Your move. There's no escape. White Knight H6 takes King. Checkmate. No escape.
What is Captain Renard's current status, Miss Von Karma?
He is currently detained and awaiting to be transported to The Hague to face trial in the International Criminal Court. They have also seized the evidence he was carrying regarding the Helios 6 incident. Allied nation authorities are on their way to pick him up.
Very well, they will take it from there. As for this trial, I think we have finally cleared the circumstances around Captain Harvey's death. It is time to finish the trial with a suitable verdict. For the murder of Captain Janice Harvey, the court finds the defendant Mike November. Oh, the court is adjourned. Thank goodness.
That was one intense trial. I think I need to sit down for a moment.
You can say that again. At least now you know what it's like to be held hostage.
Although, luckily there was no real danger this time around.
All's well that ends well, huh?
Mr. Wright, I'm forever indebted to you.
All in a day's work.
Don't be so modest. I really meant what I said. You have not only cleared my name, but Charlie's as well. You brought closure to everyone hurt by the Helios 6 incident. Now the victims and their families can finally find peace.
So why the glum look? Come on, Mike. Smile a little.
I know I should. It's just hard to do so when I kept wishing my brother was here to see this.
Oh, perhaps we can help you with that.
How exactly?
Maya, could you please contact your sister?
Sure thing, Nick.
What in the Sam Hill?
Maya here is attuned with the spirit realm. This is her sister, Mia.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. November. Congratulations on your verdict. I've been following the trial with great interest with a couple of others from my current place of residence.
Is this real?
Real enough to be admissible in court, at least. Your brother here on this side wants me to convey a message for you. Would you like to hear what he has to say?
What? Charlie? Of course.
What's up, little brother? It's been a while since we had a chat, hasn't it? I'm real glad to see that you're off the hook now. You had me worried there for a moment. And I see you decided to follow in my footsteps and join the AN as well. Way to go. I know you'll make a fine peacekeeper. Listen, I just wanted to tell you that I am hugely proud of you, and I'm glad you didn't choose this path just for my sake. After all, your life is your own, and I want you to be happy doing what you enjoy. So look towards the future and be happy, damn it. I know you may not see me, but I'll always be with you in spirit.
Charlie, thank you, bro.
Aren't reunions always so touching?
Yeah, there's nothing quite like meeting old acquaintances, is there?
I wouldn't be so quick to get behind such a statement, Mr. Phoenix, Wright?
Miss Von Karma? What, surprise. Can I help you with anything?
Frankly, I think you've helped me more than enough during this case.
Please try not to take the verdict too personally. Mr. November was...
Jumping to conclusions again, are we? As far as I am concerned, I did not lose today. Thanks to my performance, and with some modest aid from you, that monster, Adele Renard, has been brought to justice. I give credit where credit is due. You're good for something, Phoenix Wright. My theories are always perfect. But I've come to realize that even perfection is fragile. There is no true perfection without chaos. You are the counterweight, who I can count on to shamelessly explore even the most ridiculously foolish possibilities, therefore allowing me to polish my theories towards true perfection. Your inability to feel shame is doing me a service. Thank you.
You're welcome, I guess.
Hey, cut Nick some slack!
What are you talking about? It was a most sincere compliment.
Well, don't I feel ever so slightly offended in the most heartwarming way.
However, I didn't come here for meaningless chit-chat. Scrappy! Bring them in!
Yes, sir!
Lieutenant, Dr. Siegfried.
Mike, please. I don't think our ranks matter anymore.
Mike, we were never able to apologize enough for what we made you go through. Again, we never meant for you to get tangled up in our retribution. It was an act of two desperate souls trying to find peace through vigilantism. It is only by mere twist of fate that we cannot be labeled as full murderers. I understand. I cannot be angry at you for what you did, even if it was wrong. But in the end, you weren't the ones who killed Captain Harvey.
Regardless, we are going to take full responsibility for our plan. So I believe this may also be our farewell.
What's going to happen to them now, Ms. Von Karma?
They have confessed to the attempted murder of Captain Janus Harvey, for which they will be tried. However, their motives are strongly related to the Helios 6 incident, which means the case falls under Allied Nations jurisdiction. Their testimony is also of paramount interest in the upcoming trial in The Hague. I believe things will work out, so to say.
Aha! So this is where everyone's huddling up at. I don't know if you're off your rocker or brave as hell, but damn, son, you deserve a real medal. Take this. It's a first-class medal for fearless bravery. Wear it with pride.
Oh, why thank you.
Wow, that's really cool, Nick.
You too, Miss Von Karma.
If you really insist.
Not many of these exist, you know? I made them both myself.
See. Well, it's the thought that counts.
Oh, and sorry for making you do those push-ups when we first met. Though I still think the swing of your arm could use some extra oomph when pulling off that objecting stuff. Lieutenant, Doc, had a good time serving with you. Godspeed on whatever may come your way.
We appreciate your sentiment, Mr. Tennant. I trust you will keep the Peacekeepers in high spirits after I'm gone.
You can count on it, Lieutenant.
Now that I remember, Mr. Phoenix Wright, I have something for you as well. Here.
Huh? What's this?
Something I've been meaning to return to you. Open it later.
Okay then.
Oh yeah, there were some uniformed guys outside the lobby who wanted to talk to you, Mr. Wright.
What? Me?
Yeah, apparently they were from Allied Nations. They said they wanted to enlist you or something.
Huh?
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll take you under my wing and teach you to shout so loud you'll shatter glass. You'll be praying for mercy, but together we'll prevail.
Great. And I'm sure as an almost fellow AN staff member, you'll do this case pro bono? I really didn't give much thought as to how I'm gonna actually pay you.
Oh, and Nick, you still owe me and Pearls a trip to Gatewater Land. And all the burgers we can eat.
I believe I could sum up my thoughts in just one word.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
One more time won't hurt.
Let's hear it.
Go right ahead.
Show us what you got, son.
Come on, all together now.
Objection!
Stand back. Here she goes.
Nice job, November. That was a perfect leveling.
Thanks, man. Oh yeah, things have really taken a turn for the better since the change in company leadership. We get to concentrate on training our skills a lot more, and there's no more hazing. Things have settled back home as well after the Helo 6 incident was officially solved. It was a huge weight off everyone's chests. I'm really looking forward to our first actual mission, so I can genuinely help those in the direst of needs.
What can I say? I'm extremely glad that the Ally Nations Court has allowed us to continue our work here at the regiment, but I didn't expect that I'd be assigned to be the head of the company.
Well, you have been practically doing this job for years. They just finally made it official.
I suppose Captain Victoria does have a nice ring to it.
As for Renard, he was found guilty in the International Criminal Court and is locked up for the rest of his life. But enough of him. We've got some news to share, don't we, Irene?
Indeed. We've just gotten engaged.
And neither of us couldn't be happier. This is surely the beginning of a better tomorrow.
The aim of our patrol is a question rather droll. For to march and drill over field and hill is a military goal. Hey, what you staring at me for? Singing is extremely good exercise for the vocal cords. And who wouldn't want to sing when things are going so good? I found my missing medal and they're promoting me too. Lieutenant Tennant, let's see anyone make fun of that.
It's unbelievable. I got a raise. Apparently, Miss Von Karma was feeling lenient and put in a good word for me for my salary evaluation. Well, to be completely honest, technically my salary is now the same as it was before the case, but I still got a raise. Hot damn! This calls for a celebration. A luxury pack of instant noodles for me.
After having been found guilty of several war crimes in the International Criminal Court, former U.S. Army Captain Adele Renard was sentenced to life imprisonment without a chance of parole. The Army spokesperson has stated that they are currently performing an internal investigation looking into any other potential misdeeds committed by Renard during his service. This has been Samantha Harrison reporting from New World News.
You're almost done, Nick. Just sweep under the bookshelves again and the office will be pristine.
There was nothing in the bed about me cleaning the office by myself.
That That's not how I understood it.
Either way, I'm pretty sure all the dust bunnies are gone now.
Maybe, but are you sure you haven't forgotten something?
Huh? Oh yeah! Franziska gave us that envelope.
Well, open it already. I can't wait to see what's inside.
Huh? There's a card in here. And it has my face.
That's the card. The one from the On Guard case. I drew that. Franziska must have had it all this time.
There's a letter in here too. Let's see.
Phoenix Wright. There is something that has been on my mind for a long time now. It's high time you get to hear what I've been meaning to tell you. I would have told you this in person, but I don't want you to forget these words. Ever. Thank you for everything you have done for me. When we last met, I felt I had failed to live up to what was expected of me as a prosecutor. Broken and with nothing left to fight for, I was ready to abandon my walk down the prosecutor's path. But you and Miles Edgeworth had faith in me. You returned both my whip and my faith in myself. All I had ever wanted was my revenge, to make you both suffer. Yet, you came to my aid in my darkest moment, and I wanted to hate you both for it. But I just couldn't, because in my heart, I knew that you were not some sort of obstacle to defeat. During Mike November's trial, even when I was winning, I felt I was losing something infinitely more important. And now, I know what it was. It was the realization that we are not enemies, you and I, no matter what my father may have thought. Whatever happens, I will always be a prosecutor, and you will always be a defense attorney. Even if we stand opposed on the different sides of the courtroom, we work towards a common goal, truth and justice for all. And to do that, we must have faith in one another. When I disarmed Renard, I trusted you with my life. Just as those on trial trust us with theirs, we must be worthy of this trust. In light of this, I am grateful to have you as my opponent. When I last departed, I vowed that when we would meet again, I would return this missing piece of evidence to you. I've kept it safe all this time. Now it's your turn to do the same. Never forget who you are and what you're fighting for, Phoenix Wright. I trust we will meet again someday. Until then, farewell. Signed, Franziska von Karma.
With a smile, I carefully folded the letter and slipped it back in the envelope. Maya joined the smile while still holding the card in her hands. I was sure that one way or another we would meet Franziska again, as an opponent in court, or better yet, as a friend. I glanced out the office window and was greeted with the rays of the spring sun. It truly was the season of new beginnings.
Another day, another pointless cameo incoming. Good thing I finally adapted to these antics. It's not like this torment is going to end anytime soon.
Sir, I'm not sure how to tell you this. We kind of, sort of, you know?
What Gummy means to say is,
Oh, just spit it out, you two!
We're in trouble. The main series just finished.
And this concerns us why? I wasn't even in it.
No more episodes means no more interludes. This is our final shot at getting you home.
You're telling me that if we don't establish a satisfactory status quo during the few minutes we have left, we're going to be stuck in this god-forsaken purgatory of an airport until the end of our days?
Not necessarily. If we're lucky, it's only till the next series begins.
So, like, 2 years in real-world time, if the past is any indication.
There's no way I'm waiting that long. There has got to be a way.
I don't know what to suggest, sir. Kay and I have tried everything.
Perhaps it's high time I take matters into my own hands.
Oh, of course. That might just do it.
What do you mean, Kay?
We forgot the most important thing. Mr. Edgeworth is the main character. That means no matter how hard we try, the situation stays the same until he actively takes part in solving it.
How very flattering.
What are you going to do, sir? We don't have much time left.
It's simple, really, Detective. I'm going to use logic to solve our problem. Let's see. The main series is now over. Until this point, it was impossible for us to leave this airport because the script demanded that we had to be here for the next interlude. But that is no longer the case. We are no longer constrained in that manner. Furthermore, from what I've witnessed, this airport operates under its own bizarre logic. There's no such thing as impossible here. As Kay put it, anything at all can happen. Perhaps we can use it to our advantage. Ergo, if we were to put 2 and 2 together... Eureka! Yes! I know the answer now.
Oh yeah! Go, Mr. Edgeworth. What do we do?
We're finally going to leave this airport.
How? None of us has a ticket. There's no way we'll be able to board a plane.
Who said anything about planes? We're going to leave the same way you arrived. And frankly, I don't think either of you used a plane to get here. There's no way Detective Gumshoe's salary could ever buy him a plane ticket to Japan.
You're right as always, Mr. Edgeworth, even though this one time I really wish you weren't.
That's right. We just kind of appeared here.
Precisely. In this airport, we have literally infinite possibilities. The only limit being that we couldn't leave until now. The script that demanded us to be here for the next episode no longer has any power over us. Therefore, as crazy as it sounds, we can now literally bend reality itself to suit our needs.
Whoa.
So, my friends, are we ready to go home?
You bet. Just let me put all this information into Little Thief. If you're right, I should be able to send us to a point in the timeline that merges our experiences with the canon events. That should keep the continuity intact and prevent the alternative universe from collapsing on itself.
Whatever you say, Kay.
Okay. Fingers crossed, everyone. Here we go. It worked! It worked!
Just as I thought. No matter the situation, the power of logic prevails in the end.
Holy crap! That was the coolest thing ever. I want to make a wish too. I want to be a wizard. Oh, and a millionaire. A millionaire wizard. Make it rain money!
Looks like everything's back to normal indeed.
Yeah, no more cosmic powers for any of us.
Ah, man.
It's definitely for the best. We should get back up to speed with recent events, though. Detective, fetch me today's paper.
Yes, sir. Here's your paper, Mr. Edgeworth. Everything's A-okay. Well, there's a tiny minor detail that you might want to be aware of.
Let me see that.
Oops, looks like we had a little hiccup in the continuity. I'm sure it'll correct itself over time.
It's close enough.
So, what's next on the agenda?
Sorry, it's just that all this timeline jumping has left me kinda hungry.
That settles it. How about we all head out to have a bite to eat? It's on me. A friend told me good things about this place called El Dunes.
Alright, I can't wait to get some chow in.
What are we waiting for then? Let's go!
Strange. Where have they gone?
They were supposed to be here. I should have been there with the others while I had the chance. Oh well, this is but a minor setback. I'll have my time in the limelight sometime in the future. I'm not in a terrible hurry. After all, I can wait for 1,000 years if I need to.